What's up, everyone? This is BigPowner, and today I'm going to be walking you through a process to create some absolutely insane boots. These specifically are going to be for my build, but you could use this process for any build. With the introduction of a few leagues ago, they made it so that you get to choose what enchantment you get from labs. It's made it so that people can put the right enchantment on the right base. The thing is that it comes as a gray base, so you have to be able to, take that gray base and then turn it into the item that you want. This particular craft is going to be one that probably a lot of people do, um, because as far as as far as boots, um, the tailwind stat is probably the strongest stat that's available on boots, just in general. Because it's an 8% across the board increase. Even after they nerfed it, it's still so strong. But they made it very, very hard to get. It has no harvest tags now, so it's a huge pain. So even if you hit it, which it's a super, super low chance that you're going to hit it, it just becomes a super big pain. So normally you're probably going to wind up, like, if you want a nice pair of them, you're going to buy them, and then you're going to either have to farm your own boot enchantment, or you're gonna have to buy a finished pair like this, which is gonna cost you, a ridiculous amount. The finishing moves on this are gonna be expensive. This isn't a cheap craft. We're gonna need, influence orb, the base. We're gonna use perfect fossils. Um, and then we're going to use a lot of alterations, and then we're going to need some exalts for some finishing touches. The end goal for this item is to have a good bottom with tailwind. Then we're going to want HP, and then we're going to want to be able to craft on a dual mod movement speed with cannot be chilled. The reason why this cannot be chilled is super OP for the combination of movement speed and cannot be chilled. There's two ways that you can get this. If you're not playing a build like mine where you're already freeze immune because of because of Arctic armor, because they buffed the perfect form Zodiac, which it was already super OP, but because they buffed Arctic armor, I think it's worth it. As far as defensive for this league, the defenses are just, it's a super good defensive piece. It always was. Like a couple years ago, I used to use it a lot on ice shot. But I'm freeze immune, but I need that chill immune. So for me specifically, I want 3 good stats on the bottom. I want a good stat on the top, like a good HP roll, and then I want to be able to craft on my movement speed. So we're going to have to first buy the base with the enchantment that we want. For boots, you're going to want to get 86. Um, you don't need an 86. If I technically didn't need an 86. The reason why is because the reason why we go for an 86 is there's only a few things that we go for on boots that's 86. Movement speed tier 1 is going to be the one of the main reasons for that. It lets you get 35% movement speed instead of 30, which is the one just below that. So that's the only 86 stat. Other than that, you could go for 84, like if you don't care about the tier 1 movement speed. 84 lets you get tier 1 resistances, so absolutely you need 84 plus if you're going to be doing a craft like this, especially since we're buying an influence orb, we're buying the enchant on the boots, we're going to be perfect fossiling it. This is a great league to be perfect fossiling, just simply because Syndicate isn't worth the time to grind the 30% armor for all of your items. When you're crafting from the bottom up, perfect fossil them, get that 30. Um, that's my personal thing that I'd say on that, because right now perfect fossils are 4C a piece. If they were a lot more expensive and you're talking a bunch of exalts to get that 30%, it might be worth it to a lot of people to do the syndicate farming. This league, however, I don't think it's worth it. If you can't afford perfect fossil, you probably can't afford to do the craft yet, and you should probably wait. Go with some stuff that's going to give you a better increase instead of like super investing in one item. But once you get to a place where all your gears, like, it's good, you're able to do stuff, but now you want to really tap into those pieces and get all those stats working for you so that you can get your build to that next level, then this is going to be the craft for you. I'm choosing damage penetrates number percent of enemy elemental resistances if you haven't killed recently. I'm choosing this. This is basically the best choice if you need single target boss DPS. I don't really need the single target boss DPS, but as far as things on it, if there's one thing that I'd like the build to be stronger at, probably killing bosses. A 10% pen is really strong for an enchantment. On boots, I also did a defensive offensive gloves, and then I'm going to be doing I think an offensive belt enchant. So, and I've got an offensive helm enchant. So I buy it like this. I've already socketed it. That's not a big thing. Since I'm going to be doing the tailwind, that's the main thing that I want on it. I'm not worried about elevating it. What I really want is I want the tailwind, resistances, good life, and I want to be able to craft on movement speed and movement speed with the cannot be chilled. So that's what we're going to go for. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and Hunter's Orbit. It actually has to be rare. So I'm going to Hunter's Orbit. Now I've got the Hunter's Influence on it. The reason why I'm doing this is because I'm going to be doing rolling. The Tailwind is pretty rare. If I were to hit Tailwind with something good just by like chance, I would probably go through the horrible effort of taking and hunting down the 30% off of Syndicate, just because the expected like time and cost to do it, to like re-roll it and get something good is like super bad. It is a super rare mod. Oh wow, I hit that really fast. So that's the quickest I've actually ever hit a 30, or at least the quickest I've hit one that I can recently remember. So the thing is because it's like a 0.056 chance, so like 1 out of like hundreds of hits, it's gonna come up. And then when it does come up, there's no guarantee that anything good is gonna be on it, which kind of puts us in this position where do we just want to roll tons and tons and tons and tons of times, or and hope that when it does come up that it's going to be with something good. Personally, because I've already tried crafting a couple, and I've made one that's not that great, now I want to take it to the next level. So I want to be able to control it, which means I'm going to focus on trying to get good stats on the bottom first, so isolating Tailwind and then adding down stats, or I'm going to try to roll it, alteration it with one good stat, hope the regal's good. If it's a bad prefix, I can prefix to suffix and hope I get something good. And I can go back and forth like that with the beast crafting. And then the top, I just made a video where I was upgrading my gloves. Basically, I can do the same type of thing that I did there. I could actually go for using the Veiled Chaos Orb and hope that I wind up hitting the chilled and movement speed, which would be sweet because that would be the chosen, which would be 30% movement speed and can't be chilled. That would be super sweet. That would be like 5% less with chilled than the tier 1. So that would be super dope. That would probably be a good choice to go for. The thing with that is, like, if I wind up not getting it, then I have to, if I don't have an open spot, then I have to wind up removing it. And the chances or likelihood that I'm going to wind up hitting a good life roll doing it that way is pretty low. So that could be a super intensive cost. The other thing that I could wind up doing, though, is I could wind up using Aisling. I could wind up, like, taking in blocking suffixes and using Aisling to remove one of the stats and hope that it comes out as something good. That would be another choice. I could do that with a completely wiped top. So there's a lot of options that we can use to take it from there. But first, we got to get that bottom good. I got to put these somewhere so I don't actually hit them on something. All right. So this is pretty much just going to be a spamming, and honestly, like, I'll try for a little bit and I'll talk you guys through how we'll finish it, like give you guys some ideas. But the general idea of this is to take and hit the tailwind, and I'm gonna show you guys the process that I use for doing this. The reason why is because we want to set ourselves up, if we hit it, that we have something else good with it. So there's a certain way that you want to do that. You don't want to basically wind up hitting it with something bad on there that then you have to risk taking it off. So the way that I do it is, if it's a stat that I would keep, then I would augment. Um, and you know, it really depends on what you're looking for. If you're only looking for, you know, tier 2 resistances, then that's what you do it on. But anytime it's something like 20% movement speed, I'm not going to, like, that's a bad stat for me. That would be something I'd have to remove, re-roll. So I'm just going to alteration over that. That's bad. I'm not going to use annuls. Like an annul orb isn't worth using here when, you know, to try to 50-50 that. Um, that's a good stat. So I'll go ahead and alteration that. Not worth rolling over. I don't want stats, so stats are rerolls. Stats are reroll. 77 life, that's tier 2 life. I'd hit that. But because of how rare Tailwind is, the only thing that I'm gonna try to annul orb off is something that's with Tailwind, to try to get a better roll. The reason why is because the likelihood of me actually annulling something off is 50-50. And then the next alteration, the chances of me getting the Tailwind is less than like 1 out of 200, so very unlikely. And if every single time I have a decent stat on there, I'm doing that, you're talking about like probably 10x before I actually hit one Tailwind doing that, and it might not even work on that. So I'd be happy with that resistance, so I hit it. It doesn't result in what I wanted. Try to get an example. So pretend that was another resistance. I would go ahead and regal this, and the reason why is because if I have 2 resistances, if I winded up hitting the Tailwind, my bottom would be done. I craft on suffixes cannot be changed. Then I use life, more life, hope that I hit a high main life and a dual mod life and have an open prefix, and then I would craft on the dual mod movement speed. I'd be done. So when you have chances to finish an item, that 1 out of 200 is worth it. Plus it's only costing me a regal, which is like 1C. So that's worth it. It didn't hit it, so I'm gonna go ahead and continue. Alright, so we got something decent there. There are also, like, there's viability to, like, rolling things that would be profitable to, like, someone else. So, like, if you're, personally for me, because this is something I want to wear and it takes effort and it's like a limited quantity on the market, like someone has to farm this particular base that I want. Well, they have to put it on the particular base that I want after farming it, which there's a lot of options. There's 3 different types of 2-tone boots. I think there's a lot of ES players, energy shield players, so I think a lot of the crafts are going on energy shield bases. So I'm kind of only going to stop on something that's going to be an upgrade for me. So I'm going to roll over a lot of stuff, just because I don't want to go grab another base. But like, if you wind up with something valuable, you know, it might be worth it for you to take it and throw it up and sell it. Let's get this sale real quick. I don't know why. Someone else probably whispered him back. Oh well. So I have enough alterations that I'll probably wind up hitting a Tailwind. But I did have a streak on trying to make a pair of these where I spent way past the probable point of hitting Tailwind and didn't hit it. So we'll see how this goes. Hopefully I can get a finished item without dragging this out too long. If it starts getting dragged out too long, I'll wind up calling it. So there's another situation where you could wind up doing it. Like I could regal here because I have a tier 2 resistance, and I could use a beastcraft, add suffix, remove prefix. This would be like something because it is a tier 1 movement speed. Um, if I hit it on that would be valuable. Resistance with this. Same thing with this one. It's a tier 1 resistance. Um, kind of depends. I'm gonna re-roll the top regardless, but I could top down it. But the other stat has to be really good, like tier 1, tier 2 resistance probably for me to do that, for me to hit that roll, because I really want something that I'm gonna be happy with. And lower ones, putting the extra in. Wow, it keeps on giving me tier 1 movement with tier 1 resistance. It's like, I know you want this 35%. No, actually I don't. Someone else probably would though. Tier 1 resist. Aw. Too bad that wasn't that other one wasn't tailwind. That would have been like perfect for me. I would have been so happy. I'm hitting that tier 1 movement speed a lot. It's trying to give it to me and I don't want it. And when I said I have enough alterations to probably hit it, I don't mean what's in my inventory. It's a lot more. Got a lot of small currencies to roll with. I should have rolled on that fire res. It's high enough. Come on, tailwind. You know you wanna give me some RNG for the video. I had RNG earlier, so maybe it's being nice to me. I've had some nightmare crafts, like, so maybe it's like maybe those days were like the bad days, and I'm gonna have like a really good day, and I should just get all of my crafting out of the way like today. Just like craft everything quickly. It's being nice to us. Go, 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 craft. I dumped like 30 EX one day on my helm and had nothing at the end. Like, it was the best thing I hit was worse than what I started with. It was just all bad. I was so happy yesterday. So I got it to this point, but it didn't have an open spot for resistance, and so I beast crafted suffix to prefix, and it had 55. It had a tier 1 dex on it, and I was just hoping, just remove the dex or the int. I'm happier that I kept the int because it actually wound up barely letting me swap rings, let me upgrade my rings. So I'm actually glad that it turned out that way. But I didn't know that 8% intelligence was actually going to help me out later. But yeah, I wound up removing the dex, and I was like, thank you, thank you. I mean, the item's not insane or anything. Like, I got tier 2 HP, some evasion, shocking conflicts, and a resistance, but I'm like happy with that because I spent so much trying to get a resistance, HP, shocking conflicts together, just those 3 things. And honestly, there's not very many other good stats on the helm, so I was really originally trying for 2 resistances, but that was not happening. Like, I, so much currency, and there's no one making those because It's just not something people are using apparently. And I wanted, well, the main thing was I wanted it with the frost blades, the frost blades enchant. Like I had another one, but it was just like I wanted that frost blades enchant, man, and it cost me so much to make it, and it doesn't even look that impressive. But sometimes, if I could have gotten 2 resistances on there, then I would have been a lot happier. I might buy another base and try again. But at this point I'm just like I don't want to touch the helm. Anything but the helm. I've got 2 of them now. But if I can get more resistances on my helm and my boots, then I'll be able to get more damage in other places, which would be really nice. But a lot of my gear is like no one's playing this build, or no one was. I don't know if people are now, but no one's been playing the build, the gear, using the weapon, so there's not very much on the market if you want to buy something. Just like once you start getting down to like your gear starts getting better, it starts getting the stats you need start getting more and more like you have more requirements for each slot, which is a good place to be, but I mean, it does make upgrading hard and expensive. Come on, Tailwind. Oh, oh. Okay, so that's sweet. So I could actually be finished with it right now. I could multi-mod this, like, so I could go I could go go multi-mod and then add the dual mod and life. So that'd be 70 HP, movement speed, tier 1 resistance, the life and armor. It is a tier 1 dual mod, and it's stun and block recovery. So that's actually pretty good for my build. It does put me in kind of like a harder choice because it would be a good multi-mod as it is. I was planning on doing like, so there's a few ways. I'm gonna actually have to think about how I want to finish this. There's a few ways that I can do this. Actually, so what I can do is I can do suffixes cannot be changed, and then I can do a cold or fire harvest craft, which will guaranteed put a resistance on the bottom, because this is probably what I'm going to do, because this will guarantee that I have double resistance on bottom. So I'll go ahead and show y'all what I'm going to do. I'm probably not going to do it right this moment. We'll see if I have the harvest crafts, but I'll explain how I would go about this. So let's go to boots, strength dex, POEDB. So all we have are these mods, which obviously we have fire, cold, lightning, chaos here. I already have lightning on it, so there's no other mods like that on it. So then we go to hunter, which is the chaos poison. So there's no other there's no cold fire, anything like that. So if I do a add fire or add cold because I already have lightning, it's guaranteed to put a resistance on it. So this is probably going to be a multi-step one that I'm going to wind up doing. Let's see what we have. I have cold. I don't. I had the life more life. Here I'll go. So this is why I'm not going to be able to finish it, because I had grabbed the life more life so that I could craft on the top, because the life more life would give me an HP, 2 HP rolls hopefully, and then leave 1 open slot. That would be the hope for what I'd be trying to do. There's another way that I could wind up doing this. I could wind up just going life more life and hope that the bottom doesn't get a stat, and that would make it so that if I wound up with something where I have 3 stats on the top, instead of having to get a reroll prefixes, suffixes cannot be changed, I could just do a risk craft and go to beast crafting and do a add suffix remove prefix, because that would open 1 slot. Then I could craft on suffixes cannot be changed, and then I could hit it again with the harvest. The issue is I kind of have a chance to possibly make a much more well, I'll definitely be able to make a better item than I could with multi-modding, because multi-modding would give me a 5-stat item. Granted, I would have 70 HP, which would be the equivalent to tier 3 life, or no, barely over the equivalent to tier 4 life. Tier 1's 80, tier 2 70, but goes up to 79. Oh, tier 3. So barely over tier 3, because tier 3 goes up to 69. So I would be able to guarantee myself slightly over tier 3 life and the dual movement speed. This would make a really nice pair of boots, but not really a big upgrade from what I already have. I've got a tier 1 resistance. It would be like giving me 11 more HP. Um, and that's pretty much it. That's not really what I'm going for. I'm going for an upgrade. The dual mod, the dual mod isn't bad, which is kind of what makes me be like, because stun and block recovery is good since I use the shield. So that wouldn't be bad. But having a guaranteed another resistance, that would give me 2 resistances on the bottom, which ideal best slots is 2 tier 1 resistances, the tailwind, the dual movement speed, the a tier 1 HP, and then a dual mod HP. Which the cool thing is with HP more HP on this, HP more HP, we're gonna hit this, and we're gonna hit this. So either armor and HP, or evasion and HP, and then regular HP. So that'll be what I wind up doing to it. But like we checked, I don't have. I mean, I would have been good with either resistance, because you can re-roll those and harvest. Not a nightmare to hunt down. It took me. I had bad luck farming harvest today, um, but yeah. So this is how you would do it. And you kind of saw I finally hit it, and because I did it when I had something set up in a good position, now I'm in a good position to finish this item. This item's at a place where I can guaranteed finish it and have something really good. How good is really going to depend on the initial harvest craft, because the initial harvest craft is going to put a resistance on the bottom. During that first harvest where I'm going to do fire or cold, I'm going to get a fire or cold resistance, and then it's going to give me some other stats probably. So that's going to that could wind up, I could wind up hitting a good HP and just craft on my dual mod movement speed and I'm done. Or, that could just be 1 step, and then I have an open mod, and then I'm going to block again, and then I'll do HP more HP till I wind up with something that I'm happy with, and then I'll be done. This at this point, it's just a matter of currency and tries, because even if I wind up with 3 stats on the top after that point, I'm gonna just get myself reroll prefixes. Suffixes are unchanged, so I can open up an extra spot. I'm not gonna risk it with an annul orb, just because my bottom I'll be happy with a tier 1 resistance tailwind, another resistance, hopefully a good roll. So this item is now on its way to being done. It's going to be a big upgrade because I got the 30% quality, and it's going to have 2 resistances, which the bottom on this one um, is not as good as resistance. It's got the block recovery, stun and block recovery, but it's tier 5. It's actually lower than the the tier 1's dual mod, so that's pretty bad. So I'm happy with this. Um, I'm glad I was able to hit it and then explain how I would finish it. If you had 2 stats in the bottom, because, you know, for instance, like I had 2 resistances there, and then I wind up hitting the tailwind, the bottom would be done. I would just craft on suffixes cannot be changed, and then I would have done the life, more life. Hope that I hit it on the first one. If I don't, do it again and rinse and repeat until I wind up finishing the item. Anyways, this is how you can take a this is how you can take an item from just a gray base all the way from being a base to being finished. This is the way I would actually suggest doing this this item. Um, I wound up hitting it with HP Shocking Conflicts, and just the ads and stuff like that weren't good. I probably should just redo it, but like I said, I spent so much on this item. Just every single thing I was missing on, every time I hit on it, it was a nightmare. And you can have those, and sometimes you just got to be like, all right, I'm gonna be okay with this. Like this item's kind of worse though. It's kind of harder to roll because there's not the elemental tag for conflux, and then I want resistances, which are elementals, and I also want it's a mess. Um, but you could use the same process and then hopefully have better RNG than I did on it. I kind of just got frustrated and was just spamming the crap out of it. I originally, though, tried to do fossil crafting, and then I tried to just get lucky using expensive essences, which didn't turn out. I didn't hit anything with the essences, which was really demoralizing. But that's how it goes sometimes. You never get those like super items unless you risk it. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it helps you make yourself some super sweet boots or some other super sweet enchanted items. Thanks for watching, and peace.